So far in today's show, we've been covering the window replacement process and saw why these wood windows were being replaced after just 15 years. We also reviewed the installation process and saw firsthand the special tools and professional skills needed to do the job correctly. Now let's once again meet up with our contractor, Andy Lindus from Lindus Construction. Oh, Andy, here's one of the new windows they selected. This looks just beautiful.
Yeah.
You're hard-pressed to tell. I mean, when people think vinyl windows, a lot of people think, oh, it's just an old gray window. No, this is actually a very nice wood grain, very authentic looking.
Yeah, and when they get around to putting the stain and the finish on this window, it's going to look like a wood window. As far as how a vinyl window looks like wood, nothing comes close to a season guard. You know what's nice about wood is all the imperfections that are part of it. Nothing's repeatable. Those patterns aren't.
Sure.
And I think our wood grain does a better job of that. It blends in to natural wood.
Yeah, it certainly does. And you know, you just mentioned something there. When they finishing off all this, you give that option to homeowners to actually finish the jam extensions and the casing around it?
Yeah, you know, probably the most important part of our salespeople's jobs is being able to sit down and customize a project to that customer. If you can save $100 per window by doing your own finishing, I mean, that sometimes allows you to put in an extra window, or maybe there's a door to replace, or like this house, they had 2 bath fans that really needed to get installed. That really covers the cost of those things.
Sure, and so you're empathizing with the homeowners and trying to work within their budgets. And since you're allowing them to do that, is that why you take the additional step of putting up some wax paper? Because if you've ever tried to do trim, it's tough to cut the stain in or even the paint from the wall into the window.
It's about 20% of our customers choose to do it this way. If they want us to pre-finish it, again, I have a guy that specializes just in putting stain and finishing on windows. But we're going to allow it. We're going to come in, put the bare wood. We're going to put this nice wax paper, try to make the process as easy as possible for them where they can come in right away, refinish it, and give them a nice finished window.
Now, you know, I want to get into what to expect when your professional contractor arrives on site. And we always talk about measuring, how important measuring is. But really, what are you measuring when you're walking around a house measuring rough openings?
Well, when we first get to the house, we're gonna take a walk around with you. We're gonna talk about every aspect of the house. We're gonna want to look at the house as a whole, look at the building sciences between why this house does what it does. We're gonna want to look at insulation, ventilation, air infiltration, the type of mechanicals you have in your house, not just your windows. I know it sounds weird that a guy looking at windows is gonna want to look at all that, but when you can see how the whole house performs, you can really make this house better. Now, when we start to measure for windows, there's a couple of different ways. In order to give a price that first visit, we're just going to take width, height measurements and see if they're going to be redoing their own trim.
Well, let's just actually do this, and so I understand exactly what you're talking about. So do you go to the outside, to the inside?
Go to the inside of the jam extension there.
Okay.
So we got 90 by 45. Again, rough measurements. I don't have to be exact here. I'm just measuring for pricing. This is going to allow me to go to my chart and see 90-inch window. This, can I even get that in a 3-lead slider? We put this into our computer system, automatically pops up all of our options, lets us price things out for the homeowner. Now, once we go through and we pick the options, the styles of the windows, the type of trim that you're going to get, any of the other things, we agree on a price, we figure out what we can do to make this house the best way possible. Before we order it, an expert's going to come out to your house. All this guy does is measure windows for order. So he's going to look at things like jam depth. You know, all walls aren't created equal. The type of siding you have, whether or not we're going to be putting a brick mold. I mean, this is just one style of trim that we can do. But if you have other trim in your house that's different, he knows where exactly to go to get to match that trim or match that color. So everything looks like it originally was put in the house.
And that all comes back to proper measuring, having somebody just do that?
The guys that don't do that, here's what happens. They come out, say they got 10 windows to install. They get through, they get to the 8th window, and they figure out, you know, this window doesn't quite fit right. It's a little bit too small or a little bit too wide, so they put it in, and maybe the frame bows in. Then it doesn't operate well, or it's a case of window that catches right there at that.
Sure.
Or they can't install it at all, it's that far off. For us, first-time quality is the #1 thing we look for with our installation crews. Can we finish the job the day we showed up? And having checks and balances, like a guy that only measures the windows for order. Same thing with our siding, our roofing. There's an expert that goes out to your house after the sales guy and measures everything for order, so when we start, we can finish, and we almost always do.
Sure, and this is one of those windows. This is I mentioned how heavy it was outside. Yeah. Effortless. I mean, look at that. You can turn it one finger. You could turn this window. That just shows how well it's manufactured, and more importantly, how well it's installed. And thanks for coming on today's show and walking us through your process.
My pleasure. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the subscribe button.